Hello. For this week's assignment, we are to integrate our week three's lesson plan into uh, a lesson with another subject, at least one other subject. And I have chosen to take my week three's lesson plan about the Industrial Revolution and the Age of Imperialism. I should call it a unit because it's more than just a lesson, but with reading and writing, or literature and writing. And there's the potential to take it way beyond that. It just depends on how much effort and time you want to put into it. But thank you for taking a look at my presentation. So, from a social studies focus, the Industrial Revolution, the Age of Imperialism, we're really trying to build, regardless of whether students are in an AP class or not, we're trying to build these historical reasoning skills of causation, comparison, continuity, and change. These skills of being able to assess changes over time, comparing what's going on in different parts of the world in different situations, and what's causing things to happen. And it's almost always multiple causes. So, this is a very high level thinking skill, and this is going to be our focus. And it also bleeds over into every other subject matter, honestly, as far as analytical, critical thinking skills are concerned. Definitely for literature and writing. So, anyway, from a literature focus, it's going to be more about integrating the Industrial Revolution and the Age of Imperialism with a reading, with a novel or a novella, with some writing practice. Again, there's full novels. Charles Dickens is a wonderful resource for this, as far as giving a good image for working conditions and social class separations that were occurring in industrializing countries in England in the 1800s. Mary Barton is also very good for the life for the working class, and I believe the city was Birmingham. And one of the industrialized cities in England would be like, then we move on to Joseph Conrad and the Heart of Darkness, his Heart of Darkness, which is about the age of imperialism and going into the inner Africa to take over, and what atrocities there. Continuing with that, this is a very mature topic and may not be appropriate for any but the most mature and most capable students in a reading situation. Is King Leopold's Ghost, which is a nonfiction look at the atrocities committed by King Leopold and the people who fought against him and tried to keep him from being successful with what he did to the Congo, and their rubber quotas and the amputations and everything like that. But again, that would have to be a really, I would say, a really, really high level class to be able to handle something like that. The shorter reads, Charles Dickens again, A Christmas Carol. This can be modified all the way down to, say, a seventh grade level. And it's very approachable, very much again on labor situations, what the life was like for the working class as opposed to the factory owner. Getting into Karl Marx, this is pretty heady stuff, but it is short readings, Communist Manifesto and Das Kapital, and kind of really analyzing the reasons for that class separation. And, you could even link this to economics if you really wanted to. And then I threw this in just if you wanted to take a different angle, The Man Who Would Be King by Rudyard Kipling, mainly because sometimes the natives that you're taking over as an industrialized countries, they fight back, and uh, and that could be a good approach to it as well. Anyway, so these are resources taken pretty much from my week three assignment. Um, but just to run through them real quick, YouTube has great stuff on any topic, as you know, and it has garbage on any topic as well. So, might I suggest Heimler's History Crash Course, or particular videos about inventions during the Industrial Revolution, technological advancements. Heimler's fantastic for an AP. John Green's Crash Course is pretty good as well. A little bit more approachable from a non-AP. Specialization of labor simulation. Here's an example. I did one for world history once with the Industrial Revolution, having to do with the assembly line and designing, laborers who do one thing and learn to do it very well, and how it ups production and lowers costs and makes products more available. The opening ceremony of the Olympics, the third resource listed here. When the United Kingdom held the Olympics, the Summer Olympics in 2012, they chose in their opening ceremony to showcase the Industrial Revolution because they felt that it was the single most defining moment in the history of their country. And I would say that, that's a pretty good argument. And then moving on to the next one, How Earth Made Us, a very cool resource, taking a look at how geography shaped history and how geography shapes our cultures. And as it turns out, every time human beings make a discovery about energy, population explodes and food production explodes. And so that was really happening during the Industrial Revolution. So, very cool angle to take a look at it. And then the inventions of the Industrial Revolution. And then we get on to Age of Imperialism and some of the resources that I'm suggesting: Scramble for Africa, the Berlin Conference, which is where the European countries actually got together and carved up Africa. Um, and how remarkably no African people were invited to the conference. Imagine that. And not to leave out China, because it's happening to them as well. The Boxer Uprising and Chinese people trying to get imperializing countries out of their territory, and how they were unsuccessful. And so I think very, very good resources that could be used in either reading, writing, or social studies. They really kind of span the gap. They could use to enrich and build context in any of those settings. Um, Anyway, what would the big assessments be for this sort of themed unit? Well, definitely, I think the presentation and documentary idea is a really good one for getting students to work together and collaborate. And again, it's based on choice. I think giving choices is very important, looking at it through a lens of child labor, class struggle, labor conditions. These are all things that are popping up during the Industrial Revolution and the Age of Imperialism. The next topic, core versus periphery countries. This sort of takes a look at from a human geography standpoint. This would be an AP human geography idea of, what countries became core countries and how, and what countries accepted the role, or not accepted it, but fought against the role of becoming periphery or supplier, resource supplying countries that are not industrialized. A case study could be that a student takes a look at their home country. Working in an international school, I teach kids from probably 25 countries right now. Taking a look at their home country or the country we're living in, because we're all not all of us, but most of us are expats. Um, so taking a look at it from that lens, and is your home country, are they a core country? Are they a periphery country? How did they develop during this period of time? That can add a layer of personal interest to this. And then pollution, you could take that aspect as well if you wanted to take a look at how the Industrial Revolution and the Age of Imperialism really affected the world in a pollution sense. So another big assessment would be a writing component. This could be for both social studies and for reading and language arts, or literature and writing. And these are topics that I just pulled from week three's assessment. Um, and they're all focusing on building those cultural studies skills, but they're also causation, comparison, um, continuity and change over time. They're giving choices for students to take a look at things through the angle that they want to look at them through. This would be probably an individual component. This could also be modified from AP level all the way down to where, if you have students whose language, ELL students whose language are not capable of writing a longer essay at this time, they could be creating sort of a mind map, a concept map of their thoughts to kind of get across their thinking without having those English skills to really operate at the essay level. Now, what modifications? Well, you could definitely shape your choice of novels. You could either do one novel as a class, or you could have different groups doing different novels. You could also modify the writing component, like I said, to take it from basically a concept map up to an AP level writing assignment for a DBQ or an LEQ, most certainly. Moving on, Modifications for a virtual school. This is very adaptable to a virtual platform. You're going to want to be specific with your choices, maybe not have so many choices, maybe have 3 or 4 choices, I think. You're going to want to embed each one of your resources in a step-by-step lesson. So I think the sequencing of the resources chronologically and with the points you're trying to get them to understand is pretty important. You're going to want to have primary sources, secondary sources, videos and simulations included in that. I'm not sure how you would do a simulation. It would have to be something that's virtual, so you might be able to find something with that. Um, After every single one of those resources are displayed, and you're going to want to have a formative assessment and frequent discussion boards. And so what I would do is I would have a video clip and with 2 or 3 formative assessment questions based on the video clip and their prior knowledge of the topic of the Industrial Revolution and Age of Imperialism. And then the projects would come along and documentary or presentation and writing component. The documentary and presentation, I think, would be best if it's collaborative. So if there's a way to make that either assigned to teams and pick a topic and cover it and present it, embed it virtually with feedback from peers and with rubrics, kind of like what we have included or what I will be including to show you. I think it's a good that's a good way to go. The writing component probably would need to remain solo, I would think anyway, but it could all be modified relatively easily, actually. Here are the social studies standards, definitely plenty of them. You could cover all of these with the Industrial Revolution and the Age of Imperialism. Anyway, I'm going to move on to one of my big passions, which is unit rubrics, standards-based, student-centered unit rubrics based on these topics. And I'm not going to include all of them just because it would be too much to look at, but I will include examples for a couple. And here you are, an assessment rubric. If it were me, I would be using this rubric for the entire unit. And I would, every assessment, be it formative or summative, I would update my assessment of the student and the list of skills that they need to show mastery of by the end of the unit. And I've given the A level and B level criteria here for a couple of examples, just to kind of show you my thinking. This will probably be my dissertation topic because I have 13 years in mastery learning where we use rubrics like these, and I developed them over time for entire courses. And I found them to be very, very good at helping students focus on, hey, what is it that I'm supposed to be able to do? And I found that if you can put them in student accessible language, and this might need to be updated some and improved because I just wrote this over the course of maybe 20, 30 minutes, and it's best developed with a team. But if you're doing that, then this could be a very good guide for students as to how they're being graded. So a B level for the top one, evaluate the consequences of the Industrial Revolution and the Age of Imperialism on global trade, politics, and human migration. If they can come up with at least one general positive and negative consequence for each of those things, that's a B. For an A, be specific. Take a look at different places in the world and look at positive and negative influences of industrialization and age of imperialism and be able to document it with evidence and logic. I mean, and that's sort of pushing it to the next level. Anyway, the criteria you could decide as a team as to how it meets that standard. But this is what I would do. And yeah, I think it's a good way to go. Here are the Common Core standards in reading, definitely opportunities to cover key ideas, craft and structure, knowledge and ideas, and integration. I particularly like the 7th one, number 7. I use primary sources all the time in history, so it's good to see that they're being acknowledged for reading skills, interpretation skills in literature and writing as well. And this ability to be able to break down those primary source documents, it's very cool. And this is an example rubric. And again, I'll take a look at the example of number 7, integration of knowledge and ideas using 2 different artistic mediums. This could be integrated very well with social studies to historical documents, and you're sourcing them, you're looking for historical situation. You're looking for audience, purpose, point of view, and why is it important? What does it teach you? And that would be the A level, the high bar, if you're able to break it down like that. Um, if you're able to give a general overview of what's being shown there, that would be more the B level. And again, this could be decided by your team as you're developing these unit rubrics. Here are the standards in writing. Again, there's plenty of them that can be covered by this unit. I'm not going to go too much into it here. But and then an example of a writing rubric, right? And taking a look, write arguments to support claims, standard one, in an analysis or substantive topics in text using valid reasoning and relevant and sufficient evidence. The B level would be able to write and support basic claims, not maybe nuanced or developed or very high level claims, but just basic claims about here is the case and being able to back it with reasoning and evidence. And then getting a little bit more complex for the A level, adding another facet, maybe making a connection to not only causation, but also continuity and change, being able to incorporate that into your argument and reasoning would be the difference between sort of a B and an A. And then finally, the speaking and listening skills. Again, this is all of them from Common Core standards, and the potential is there to cover every single one of them with this unit. And an example of a speaking and listening standards-based rubric. Number two, for example, integrating multiple sources of information. And a B level, you're addressing some of those historical thinking sourcing skills. And on the A level, you're addressing all of them pretty thoroughly. And you are even saying, hey, this tells us about so-and-so's point of view, but finding something from the opposing side that's a primary source would really be helpful in getting a deeper understanding. That's a very A level skill, and that's AP, that's IB, that's it doesn't. I mean, that's critical thinking. Period. So I think it's really good examples of how you could. Delineate the difference between a B and an A, and hopefully make it clear to students. Using the ADDIE model, the analysis here, the standards are present, the subjects are present, the purpose is present. It's to try and, use reading and text in literature to get a deeper understanding of historical events, which is, I think, pretty cool to do. The design is here. There's some suggested activities and resources. The summative assessments are presented. I didn't go into the formative assessments because honestly, many of those are going to be informal, discussion based, or exit ticket based. And there's so many. It would probably take 100 slides to go through all the possible ones that you could do. The development here, I think the big thing in this unit development is providing students choices. Here's the topic we're studying. Here's the skills we're studying. Here are some choices. And if you have your own idea, that's okay. Present it and we can work with it. I think the key here is to try to, through presentation skills and writing skills, get students interested in finding an angle on the material, on the subject matter. And if you're offering them opportunities to trace the history of their own country or trace the history of their own culture or to follow whatever interest or whatever part of the world they are most interested in and choosing the angle they're most interested in, you're going to get them more engaged. The implementation, again, the resources are there. The rubrics, you would want to have them ready to use. They're based on the standards. Hopefully they're in student-friendly language. You develop them as a team. Your suggested activities are there. This presentation is hopefully good enough for a new teacher, assuming that the new teacher is actually properly trained on how to teach. I've never been a big fan of going step by step and telling teachers exactly what to do. I'm trying to give you a big picture idea and let you run with it in the way that you want. And then, if I were in charge of you, I would observe you and give you suggestions. Like, hey, this went really well, nice job. And hey, have you thought about it from this angle? And have you thought about doing this with this topic? And building it over time. The evaluation, how do we improve this? Well, again, as a team, you'd set up a teacher feedback for, hey, how did this unit go, right? And student products are evidence of evaluation of how the unit went. Are they good quality products? Are they good quality presentations and writing? Or did something go wrong? So, and also possibly getting feedback from the students as to what degree they enjoyed the unit and what it meant to them. And again, you would need to go ahead and design that however you would want. So, can you extend this to other subjects? Yeah, absolutely. You could make this a full themed lesson across pretty much all curricula. The potential is there to focus on inventions in the environment from the Industrial Revolution in the Age of Imperialism and science. You could definitely tackle it from that angle and merge it with social studies and even literature. From a mathematical standpoint, you could be taking a look at ratios and distributions of population growth and food production, be making charts and analyzing information, what countries are growing, what countries are not growing, and why. I mean, really cool stuff you could be doing with this. And then art, you could be taking a look at the Age of Romanticism and the art from the Industrial Revolution. Really, really good stuff that could be integrated into this greater idea for deeper understanding. And in music, you could be taking a look at 19th century composers, people like Saint-Saëns and Dvorak and Brahms. And I mean, these people are creating music to mimic the mood of the time, I think, which is pretty cool. So to summarize, the focus here is holistic, big picture, thematic learning, and I've personally always been a big believer in this, and I try to make connections across the curricula, even if it's informal, all the time. But what we're talking about here is a formal effort to integrate curriculum cross curricula. From the standpoint of critical thinking, continuity and change, causation, comparison, not only is it useful in reading and language arts, it's useful in social studies, and they are AP skills. Stressing communication, the ability for students to be able to interpret, work together, interpersonal, and present, and give their presentations to an audience. So, and then the skills assessment here is based on my idea, or not my idea, but on Varsky's idea, and my belief in mastery learning and standards-based learning and grading, which is what I truly think we need to be doing with our students. And I hope that I've done a good job of hitting upon that here. Here is the first page of my references. There are quite a few, so I'm just going to leave this up for about 10 or 15 seconds. Hopefully there's a way that I can upload them or copy and paste them into the assessment submission, because if memory serves, if I embed this video, I can't really upload any documents, but I'll see if I can't figure a way around that with the Canvas platform. And then finally here are here is the second page of my references. And I thank you for your time and consideration. This was a lot of fun, this project. It was a lot of work, but it was a lot of fun. And I hope that this gives you an idea of who I am as a teacher and what I inspire to do as far as curriculum is aspire to do as far as curriculum and instruction is concerned. Really, the reason why I got involved with this program is I have a lot to share now. I mean, I've done AP, I've done IB, I've done cross-curricular, I've done all of this in my career, and I'm at a point where I'm a little bit frustrated because I oftentimes know how to do this better than the people I'm working for, and so it can be a little bit of a frustrating thing. Anyway, that's why I'm in the program. So hopefully you enjoyed the presentation, and thank you very much for your time.